And thank you very much for taking the time and being with us. And Sami has been speaking and still speaking through schools, universities, organizations, and media, and more. He's passionate about his role of sharing and fresh perspective of hope, on hope and life and faith. He's dedicated to such a to reach as many young people as possible, to encourage nationally, internationally. His advice to young people is just never, ever be a bystander. The greatest tragedy of in human history of our people is morely because the people that kept quiet, people that never did anything, never stood up. And I think that's what's led to this genocide. And the world just stood, they did nothing. And as we see today as well, anti-Semitic attacks are rising and people just keeping quiet, and it shouldn't be a thing. We can't let history repeat, and especially we as a Jewish people, we experience that. And we need to be, and Sam is encouraging people to be part of this and to be active, to be proactive, and to fight anti-Semitism, to fight hate. So thank you, Sami, for being here with us today. And really, I look forward to hear your story. But before we start, we would like to light a candle, a short ceremony of candle lighting, and before he shares his incredible stories. Carol Kaplan.
Hi, everyone. I have here 6 candles, one for each million that sadly passed away in the Holocaust. So I'm just gonna light it so we can see. This is to commemorate their lives and put our prayers that what happened will never happen again, and that we can take that lesson from history So I'll read really quickly a prayer written by Chief Rabbi Sachs. Today on Yom HaShoah, we remember the victims of the greatest crimes of man against man, the young, the old, the innocent, the 1.5 million children starved, shot, given lethal injections, gassed, burned, and turned to ash because they were deemed guilty of the crime of being different. We remember what happens when hate takes hold of the human heart and turns it to stone. What happens when victims cry for help and there is no one listening. What happens when humanity fails to recognize that those who are not in our image are nonetheless in God's image. We remember and pay tribute to the survivors who bore witness to what happened and to the victims, so that robbed of their lives, they would not be robbed also of their death. We remember and give thanks for the righteous of the nations who saved lives, often at risk of their own, teaching us how in the darkest night we can light a candle of hope. Today on Yom HaShoah, we call on you, Almighty God, to help us hear your voice that says in every generation, do not murder, do not stand idly by the blood of your neighbor, do not oppress the stranger. We know that while we do not have the ability to change the past, we can change the future. We know that while we cannot bring the dead back to life, we can ensure their memories live on and that their deaths were not in vain. And so on this Yom HaShoah, we commit ourselves to one simple act. Iskor, remember, may the souls of the victims be bound in the bond of everlasting life. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Carol. Sami, are you ready to share with us your story? Okay. Wonderful.
First of all, I'm very honored, okay, to be here, especially, also sponsored by the Israeli Consulate in Miami. Whether you know it or not, but I'm also on the Speakers Bureau of the Israeli Consulate here in New York. One of the interesting things is before, I just want to, I recognize some of my friends from New York, but I want to recognize another person. This is Judy. Hi, Judy. Okay. And, okay, we are going through some very difficult times. First of all, we celebrated Pesach, okay, separate from each other. At the same time, we have the Yom HaShoah. We have Yom Zikaron coming next week in the Independence Day. One of the interesting things is that there is a connection between the Shoah and Yom Zikaron, the Memorial Day. Okay. First of all, Jewish people believe in life. So whether you noticed or not, and other people did not notice, that right away after the Memorial Day, Yom Zikaron, the next day is a day of celebration, the Independence Day. Okay? No other country does that. So we believe in life. But during the Shoah, during the Holocaust, people died. We remember the people that died because we did not have a country. During Yom Zikaron, we remember the people that died for us to have a country. So I want just to tell you, okay, the importance of the state of Israel from my personal perspective. Now, interestingly enough, I belong to two generations. I was with my parents in a labor camp in Ukraine called Mogilev Podolsk, in an area that you probably did not hear, Transnistria. We were not deported by the Germans. We were deported by the Romanians. Since I was so young, only a year and a half, obviously I could not work. So my life was spared because I was subjected to medical experiments. The side effects I still feel and today, although today they are not as severe as they used to be in the past. And part of the problem also has to do that I'm today much more relaxed. And when you are relaxed, that also lessens the pain, tension. I'm also later on, okay, when I reached a stage that I was dying of starvation, a German woman who had access to the camp because she brought food to the guards in the SS, when she saw the physical signs that I'm dying of starvation, big head, swollen stomach, swollen feet, she decided to give me milk. Obviously, she's one of the righteous among the nations. We have to understand their courage because this particular woman, all the other righteous among the nations, did not only risk their own lives, they risked the life of their entire family. I do not know the name of that particular person, so I was not able personally to honor her. But 6 years ago, when I was in Israel and I went to give testimony at Yad Vashem, I went to the garden recognizing 27,000 non-Jewish people that say Jews, and I saw a marker that made me very happy. It was a marker honoring the unknown righteous among the nations. So indirectly, I am honoring her. What happened is, I was born officially in 3 different countries. The city where I was born, Chernovitz, was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. As the borders changed, so did my nationality. So when I came to Israel in 1961, in my passport it said I was born in Romania. I actually grew up in Romania, in Transylvania. When I came to the United States in 1968 by myself, in my passport said I was born in the former Soviet Union. And today, my passport, it says that I was born in Ukraine. So obviously, you understand why I'm a mixed up kid. Obviously, I have no, because I was so young, only a year and a half, I have no memories of that period of time. And my parents did not talk. So for 63 years, I felt I don't belong to either generations. Number one, because I have no memory of that period of time, and I felt I don't belong to the second generations because most of them were born in DP camps, either in camp itself, okay, but a lot of them were born in DP camps. And DP camps, not that life was easy, but the threat of death was not there. And something happened in November 1st and November 2nd that changed my life forever. The Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C. closed its doors to the general public for 2 days. It was not the first time, but don't ask me why. Bashir meant to be, okay? That year, I decided to go. And there were over 8,000 people. The museum opened up its doors only to the Holocaust survivors, their children, and their liberators. And keep in mind, over 8,000 people from all over the world. And at the table where I was sitting, I met a man born in the same city, been in the same camp, the same years, 1941, 1944. He was taken, was 8 months old. I was taken when I was a year and a half. That is the difference between history and living history. That prompted me to stop ignoring being a Holocaust survivor and doing something about it. In 2007, I joined the third largest Holocaust museum in the world here in New York. And in 2008, I got my first assignment to speak to 6th graders. Obviously, most of you, if not all of you, have spoken publicly. And if you remember, your first presentation is not the best, it's not the most complete. I did not have a story. I did not know I can tell a story. I had no idea what impact I will have on 6th graders. Again, Bashir meant to be. They sent me thank you letters, each one better than the other. But one 6th grader changed my life. She wrote, P.S., your story was overwhelming, and I promise I'll pass your story to my children. Because of her, I decided to dedicate the rest of my life to reach as many young people as I can, nationally and internationally. But like Carol said, I am not only a Holocaust survivor, but I'm also a survivor of the difficulties that the challenges that I had to go through life, and also the challenges in when I grew up in Romania. I'm not only a victim of the Holocaust, but I'm also a victim of persecution, discrimination, anti-Semitism when I lived in Romania. But I'm also a motivational speaker. Later on, you can ask me and I will give you more details. I do not want you to feel sorry for me. I will give you 2 examples, but I just want you to understand under any circumstances, and that's what we have to teach the young people, never to give up, never to lose hope. I was homeless. In the United States, 1/3 of the Holocaust survivors live under the poverty line. I am one of them. I live in the most expensive city in the country on a monthly income of $1,299, and I still smile. Okay. At the same time, I have a son, I have 2 grandchildren, and I'm not allowed to see them. And later on, if you want, I will tell you how I overcame that. I do not identify myself by the traumas and the tragedies that I went through. My motto in life is, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to be. And I choose to be a happy person within my means to do the things that keep me healthy and happy. At the same time, I realized I'm speaking for 12 years, since 2008. And about 6 months ago, I realized that the students, and I'm talking about in campuses, are totally clueless about the Holocaust. As a matter of fact, just to give you some statistics, half of the world population is unaware of that the Holocaust happened. 1/3 believe it's a myth, okay, it's exaggerated, and the young people, trust me, are totally clueless. So I started to give a little bit of the background, and I'm going to do it with you, although a lot of you probably know it, but you will have a different perspective. Whether you know it or not, the Nazis, when they came to power, did not want to kill the Jews. Their idea was to have a Germany free of Jewish people, Judenfrei. And in 1935, they came out with the draconic laws, the Nuremberg laws, and it forced a lot of the Jews to leave the country. So from between 600 and 800,000 Jews that lived in Germany before the war, okay, after the Nuremberg laws, when the war started, only 200,000 remained, and a lot of them remained because the Jewish leader told them to stay, because that was the most enlightened country in the world at that time. However, when the war started, Europe was occupied, but very few people know, okay, that Poland was never occupied. Poland was annexed, and it became the part of the Greater Germany. So here in Germany, they did not want any Jews. Imagine yourself being in Poland, and they found 3.3 million Jews. So the Holocaust, I want you to understand, evolved. Okay. And the Holocaust, like some people believe, that it started when the Nazis came to power or when the war started, that is incorrect. Unofficially, it started in June 22nd, 1941, when the Wehrmacht attacked former Soviet Union, and behind those troops were special groups called Einsatzgruppen. Their job was to murder the subhumans. The Russians were considered by the Germans subhumans, and to murder the Jews. As a matter of fact, they murdered 1.5 million Jews by bullets. But now, officially, it started only on January 20, 1942. In a city which today is part of Berlin, Wannsee, 15 high-ranking Nazi criminals got together to decide the final solution to the Jewish question. Among them was one person who was not a policy maker, but he was the one implementing it. And I use him, Adolf Eichmann, as an example of the efficiency of the Germans and their collaborators to be able to murder in such a short time 11 million people. Eichmann, towards the end of the war in 1944, in 2 months only, deported 3,700,000 Hungarian Jews to their deaths. So I want you to understand that it's very important. When I'm talking that the Holocaust evolved, is we have to be very important how we use words. Everything starts with words. And number one, any comparison to the past is absolutely, totally inappropriate. Times were different, leaderships were different, attitudes were different. You cannot make comparison with what's happening today. All you can do is to learn from the past so it will not happen again. So you have to learn the lessons from it. But I'll give you a couple of examples how people use certain words, and we have to stand up and say it's a lie. Otherwise, we are going to perpetuate false narratives. People are saying that Holocaust is happening today in the world. That's a complete lie. There is a difference between genocide, made out of two words, geno, okay, which means group, side, murder. It's the murder of a group of people which happens. But Holocaust is the annihilation of a group of people, and there is no ethnic group today slated to be completely annihilated from the face of the earth. Another thing is people are saying that there are concentration camps here. That is a complete lie. There are no concentration camps in the United States. If you want, you can compare it to the DP camps that were run by the Allies. Not that life was easy there, but the threat of being killed was not there. However, I use the word concentration camp, but in a different context with the Uyghur people. If you don't know who the Uyghur people are in former Soviet Union, when the Jews did not want to be deported to Siberia or face other dire consequences, they went to the south, areas like Azerbaijan and Uzbekistan. In Uzbekistan live Muslims. Their language is close to the Turkish one, and they are called Uyghur. And they receive the Jews with open arms. But in China, there are 15 million Uyghur people. And about 2 years ago, they started deporting them. Okay? They started, torturing them and forcing them to give up their heritage, their tradition, their religion, and to accept, the Chinese culture. The people in the United States and in other countries do not know, the whereabouts of the families that were deported and are afraid to call their family members because they may be deported. So in this particular, and there's always the threat of being killed in these so-called re-education camps. Has nothing to do with education. But in this particular, in the proper context, the word should be used appropriately, and to use concentration camp is appropriate. And I use it. But I'm also an Israeli. I served in the Israeli Air Force. So I want to talk a little bit about Israel. And interestingly enough, a lot of times we as Jews use a false narrative. To make a simple comparison, like Greeks are coming from Greece, Jews are coming from Judea. So this is our own homeland. And if we use the word Judea, we are accepting that this is our homeland, and we cannot use the word occupation because basically you cannot occupy your own land. So instead of using occupation with its confrontation, we should use possibly a different word. Everybody can find maybe a different way, and to say disputed territories. And that will not perpetuate a false narrative. But that's my personal opinion. I don't represent anybody, and I talk about tolerance, accepting other people's opinion, other people's culture. So if you have any disagreements with me, please, because I would like, because by you having a different point of view, I'm actually learning from it. So I'm not averse to it. There are a lot more that I can think, but I just want to tell you how I overcame. First of all, let me tell you about the pain that I suffered, which I still suffer. I always suffered from head, neck, shoulder, and back problems. As you probably know, there are no tests to confirm, to prove that you have a back problem, but I'm coming from a generation that was very stoic, and for at least 45 years, even the doctors did not believe me that I'm in pain, even when I was in excruciating pain, because they couldn't see it in my face. I used very potent painkillers, but I decided that I did not like the side effects. And about 20 years ago, I decided to give it up, and it took me about 1 year, 9 months, 1 year to learn to live without the painkillers. It's today, because of my age, and probably because I am not as stressed as when I was younger, the pain is still there. But the problem that I'm having with the pain, that was not able to find a cure, is because it's not localized. And it can move from place to place, and the intensity is different. So it can be in my back, lower back on the right side, on the left side. It can be in the upper back, on my shoulder, the right shoulder, the left shoulder, my neck. So I never know when it is. So that's why they couldn't find a specific treatment. As a matter of fact, I had a doctor, and he put me on traction. He did something for my neck, my back hurt. He did something for my back, my neck hurt. I said, can you do something that will take away the pain simultaneously? He said, no. I said, thank you for bringing me to the hospital. I'll see you as a friend. I'll see you later. Okay. So there's a lot more that I can talk about. But what I'm more interested is answering your questions. Why don't you ask me the questions? Somebody who has the courage.
So what we can do is, if you're ready to ask a question, just unmute yourself. I can ask the first question. So Sami, you're saying the reason for the pain is the medical experimentation they did for you when you were a baby?
Yes, part of it. But right now, I have additional pains because of age. So today, that has nothing to do with the experiments. But today, it has, I'm having difficulty walking long distances. So I had to give up one of the volunteer jobs that I really love. I have difficulty sometimes going on an incline or climbing stairs. But that has to do with age. That has nothing to do with the medical experiments. I am not, something that I must be very clear, I am not against medical experiments because they do it today to save lives. I am against the way they used it. And they did it without telling people the consequences of those experiments, without having their consent, and doing it in ways that you would not, and treating them in ways that you would not treat an animal. So that's what I am against, but not against the medical experiments per se.
So I have a question from a participant. She said, what kind of experiments? Do you know?
I don't know. And a lot of the records have been destroyed. So the records are open today, but I am more of a positive person. I don't think in negative terms. So instead of wasting my time and money and energy in trying to see if there are any records to find out what happened, I prefer to do what I am doing. Okay, so I do not know. As a matter of fact, the question that nobody is asking is, since I have no memory of that time, since my parents did not talk about it, how do I know that I was subjected to medical experiments? My parents never knew about it because, like I told you, I'm coming from a generation that was very stoic. And I was about in the 30s, 70. Yeah, I was in the 30s, mid-30s, and my parents came to visit me in the States. And they went out, and I did not expect them to come home early. And I was in one of those days that I was in such excruciating pain that I was on the floor, almost unable to move. And my parents came home, and my father was in complete shock because he never knew that I was in pain. So in his shock moment, inadvertently, because I don't think he ever intended to tell me, he mentioned to me that I was subjected to medical experiments. Obviously, it did not help me with the pain, but it gave me the courage to ask for compensation from Germany. And they paid me, okay, although I had no personal proof, okay, they paid me 2,500 German marks. So obviously, it was not done based on what I wrote, it was done based on their records. But I was recognized by the German government as being subjected to Nazi medical experimentation. And if you know anything about the Germans, if they could get away with it, they did not want to pay. So if they paid, they must have had something. Yes.
Sami, if you, there is also the chat, so you can write your questions in the chat part, and I will also read them. My question would be, in the young generation, when you go to speak in high schools and universities, what are usually the reactions or the questions that the students ask? And I think one of the main thing right now, because that we're struggling with, is to keep the memory, the informations, because there are so like with the whole internet, there are so many information out there that are basically fake, what we call fake informations.
Right.
And our struggle is to keep, the facts, and to keep the young people engaged, and so they can learn about it, and they will and we won't forget. I mean, that's our job, to educate the young people and the next generation. So I would like to hear a little bit from your experience how the young people react, what they ask, especially in the college, high school, and the college students.
I feel that we have to teach the people when they're very young. So I start with fourth graders. When I go to high school, my goal is to prepare them for the future. But when I'm going to the campuses, my goal is basically for them to become active and to not be abstanders. There is too much apathy that I have seen in campuses. Okay, like for instance in New York, I spoke to the president of a Jewish organization, and I asked him if at NYU, New York University, NYU, if there are any issues. And he said no. Totally surprised. I asked him, what do you mean? He said, well, there are so many of us that when they demonstrate, we just ignore them. And that is the wrong thing to do, because their narratives catches on and we do not respond. So we have to respond right away, not wait until somebody has been converted, because it's very difficult for somebody that has been indoctrinated to bring him back to reality. To give an example, I went to the March of the Living with high school students, seniors from the Bay Area, Poland and Israel, and there was an international convention, 3,000 students. And two of the students that were with me on the March of the Living, to my complete surprise, I did not confront them. I just wanted to know what they're looking for and how they feel about it. But two of them were manning a table, okay, J Street. So this is what I'm saying is many times we do not react when the problem is small. We react when the problem is big, and we have to start. And that's why I start with fourth graders. Some of the most interesting question is, what can we do? And I tell them there are certain things that cannot be eradicated. Bullying cannot be eradicated. It will always be there. Hatred will always be there. Anti-Semitism always be there. Ideology will always be there. And people that believe in an ideology, like the Nazis, ISIS, are willing to die for it, are willing to kill for it. So the only thing that we can do is education. So I'm suggesting to the young people, especially in campuses, to educate themselves. And what they have to do, they cannot not to look to change the whole world. What they have to do is to mentor one person, one at a time, and to make sure that that person will mentor somebody else exponentially. Okay, we have to get rid and to defeat not only the coronavirus, but most importantly, the virus of hatred, bigotry, and anti-Semitism. And in this particular fight, we have to be one. We are divided. We are not united. And we have to fight together with one word, one message. We are too splintered. I also tell the young people, and that's my personal opinion, that somebody, and this is also the Israel's problem, somebody's strength is also somebody's Achilles heel, the weakness. What I mean by that is that in Israel, we're very divided. Okay? But intellectually, that is a great asset because it produces a lot of inventions. Okay? And the Israelis and the Jews in general are very, very creative. But politically, that is not a good thing. And politically, we are not united. So that's what I'm trying to say, that somebody's strength. And take a look at a small country, take a look how many Nobel Prizes we have. Take a look what we have achieved in such a short time. But politically, we are still not united to fight the right war, especially today in this cyber age. So that is the probably the most frequent question. And there are some other questions that are very basic. So I don't go into it.
Okay. Sami, there is one question of Amy Walkoff.
Yes.
She says, hi, Sami, what do you feel is the most important thing I can do to teach my 9 and 10-year-old about our Jewish religion?
Say it again. I'm sorry.
Amy, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Can you please ask the question?
Hi, Sami.
Hi.
I wanted to know what the most important thing you think that I could teach our children is to take with them. I'm getting a little verklempt. I'm sorry.
How old are your children?
One is 10 and one is 9.
Okay. Okay, very good. Number one, okay, teach them to be proud of who they are, not to be afraid. We are Jews. We should not be afraid of saying that we are Jews. Okay? Number two, what I want you to try to teach them is teach them about the importance and to love the state of Israel. It's the only country that we have. And in case of danger, okay, people have a country today. Like a lot of people from France last year, they moved to Israel when things happened with the anti-Semitic incidents in France. I don't know, have you been listening to me from the beginning? Amy?
Yes, I'm here.
Have you listened to me from the beginning?
Yes, I have been.
Okay, so if you remember what I said, okay, which is very important, okay, that Israel is, people died in the Holocaust because we did not have a country. Now we have a country, a safe country. We have to fight for it. You know, we have to support it in whichever way we can. I want at the same time the young people to learn about the Holocaust. Hopefully they will do what I am doing, and this is to go and to talk about it. I don't know if your family went through the Holocaust, okay, if you had any family members that went through it, but even if not, okay, all of the young people should learn a Holocaust survivor's story. And after my generation is gone, I want them to start speaking and talking about it and telling them what it means to them personally by telling the story. This story, if it's not kept told, eventually will become a footnote. Okay, people will forget. People have a tendency to forget. So this has to be told and retold like we tell the story, okay, of our exodus from Egypt. And the most important thing is, okay, they should be proud of being Jews and to be the best that they can be. And do not let them, okay, anybody to tell them what they can do or cannot do. Like I mentioned before, I'm going to repeat it again. I am not identified by what happened to me. My identity is that I am what I choose to be. And I choose to be a happy person. So all of us has a choice. And hopefully they will choose the right things. okay, and to do it the right way. So teach them to choose the right things.
Thank you, Sami, for answering the question. I very much relate to your last sentence of teaching the kids and to be a proud Jew and being proud of their identity. From my little experience on campuses 10 years ago, I was the Israel Fellow at Ohio State University, Hillel. I think one of the key things is when students, even young people, young Jewish people, they come to the campuses, is that they, regardless if they want it or not, they will be engaged about, with anti-Semitism or anti-Israel. Anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. That's for sure. There is no separation between the connection. And definitely, it's a matter of identity to be proud of your history, to be proud how Judaism, our values, are the core of the human right. And the UN was, is established because of the Jewish people, because of our Jewish values. It promotes human rights and democracy and all those kind of things. Definitely. I think we are very much lucky to have our own state. With all this anti-Israel propaganda, we need to remember that is the only Jewish state, and the only way that the Jewish people can be safe around the world is because we have it.
Yeah, absolutely.
For thousands of years, it didn't happen, and now we are proud Jews because we have a place of our own. And it doesn't matter if we live in America or New Zealand, we have a state, which is a Jewish state.
When we have to fight for it, you may disagree with the Israeli government's policy, but you have to love the state of Israel and fight for it.
Yeah, in terms of policy, remember the citizens of Israel are the one, Jews, Muslim or Arabic, who's the one out there setting the policy because they vote eventually. So this is the policy comes from very democratic country.
I just want to tell you a story,
yes.
Okay, if I may. Okay, remember when I don't know if I told you, did I tell the story with the Christian Lebanese student? No. Okay, I want to tell you what I mean by a dialogue. That's what I said. Remember when I said that if I'm using, for instance, disputed territory can lead to a dialogue. All of you, I'm sure, have heard of UC Berkeley and some of the issues that they have over there. And I found out that a Lebanese Christian student had very negative feelings about the state of Israel and had a very large following Christians and Muslims. I was wondering if he would be willing to talk to me. And to my surprise, he was. And when I asked him, why do you feel the way you do about the state of Israel? I made sure that even facially, I did not give him the opportunity to misinterpret that I'm confrontational. But the way you treat somebody, that's the way they will treat you. He gave me the same courtesy. In approximately 45 minutes later, we shook hands. And I said, look, you're taking two things and linking them together. They're not the same. If you're against the Israeli government's policy, you have my blessing. But the state of Israel has done nothing to you. Can you separate the two issues? And by listening to him carefully, without being confrontational, and by him listening carefully to me, he said yes. And that's what a dialogue brings. And this is what I said again, the biggest problem we have here in the United States. Take a look what's happening. People have forgotten how to disagree in a civil way.
And Sami, we have a question from Ariel.
Yes.
Ariel, unmuted you.
Thank you, Carol. Sami, it's an honor to listen to your story, and I, it's very emotional to listen to you and to your courage. Thank you so much. You were mentioning earlier about how people have a tendency to forget. And when people put into doubt not only the Holocaust, but even anti-Semitism. Do you think the fact that the new generation, like the young Jewish world now, especially in the US and in other countries where they've been so successful, now have a disconnect? They don't understand what the parent or grandparents went through, whether in Europe or in the US. Now they see so much success in business and entertainment, and they just don't realize that those things can change like they change in Germany. What do you say to that, and how do you show them that no, that things can change for the worse?
That's a very good question. Excellent, actually. Part of the reason is because they did not get the core values from the families, from their parents. It starts at home. Just to a little bit to go in a different ways, I grew up the Orthodox way. I'm not practicing today, but I have never lost my faith. And the Holocaust played no role in this particular one. So what I'm really trying to say is, when you have strong core values that cannot be taken away from you, and they were not taught when they were young, not now, when they were young, and that's when the teaching has to be. And part of the problem is that the parents themselves don't know. The parents themselves, there are a lot of intermarriages, so they don't know which way to go. They don't feel very strongly about certain things. So you cannot expect the children to know. You cannot teach somebody not to smoke if you smoke. So the core values has to come. So now what they have to do is, the only way that we can do it, what we can do is to give them a new perspective. We cannot change them. Give them a new perspective to look at things. They have to make the change, but to realize the importance of Judaism, the importance of being a proud Jew, the importance of Israel, okay? And they have to make the change and to become active. All we can do, we cannot force them. All we can do is to give them a different perspective.
Sami, we have another question from Suzanne. Suzanne, I'm going to unmute you.
Yes.
Suzanne?
Yes.
Hi, Suzanne.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Sami. This has been wonderful to hear your report, not the content of your report, but your wonderful points that you have made have been very educational. Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you.
What I wanted to ask you, I was late getting in here because I was having some trouble connecting. So I'm asking you a couple of things. Number one, how long were you in the camps?
Okay.
What camps were you in? And what was your age again when you were incarcerated?
Okay. So first of all, we were not deported by the Germans. We were deported by the Romanians. I don't know if you heard of a city called Chernobyl. That was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and it belonged to Romania. Okay. My parents and I, we were deported in 1941, and we were in the camp until 1944. Because I was only a year and a half, obviously I could not work. And the reason I'm still alive today is because, number one, I was subjected to medical experiments. I still feel the side effects today. And number two, because the German woman who had access to the camp by bringing food to the guards in the SS, when she saw the physical sign that I'm dying of starvation, decided at the risk of her entire family to give me milk.
Got it. Thank you so much, Sami, for answering those questions.
You're more welcome. Do you have any other questions?
Yes, there is one more question. I think it's a following question from Susan that says,
yes.
Have you been recorded for posterity?
I was not recorded by the Shoah Foundation because I started to speak only in 2008. When I contacted them a few years later, they said they are not taking any more testimony. However, I gave testimony at Yad Vashem, and I gave testimony at the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C. As a matter of fact, I also gave testimony, okay, in, Carol, you have to help me. What is it called? Dinah?
The Holocaust Documentation Center in Dania Beach.
Okay. So I gave recently when I was in Florida, that's exactly what I did. Okay. So these are the three places that and people have recorded me. I've been on TV, I've been newspapers, all kinds of things. But that's a different story. Yes.
Well, if you have more questions, please feel free to ask Sami. I think it's very, very important. You know, some of you heard the organization called Zikaron BaSalon, Memory in the Living Room.
Yes.
So this is one of the amazing things that has been going on in Israel, and now it's happening all over, which is personal, to connect people in their own house. And in addition to the general ceremonies which everyone is watching from home, people with children, with families, which is really, really important. So it will.
Kata, you're cutting out a little bit.
My internet probably. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So this foundation helped a lot to a lot of young people to take responsibility, actually. So telling the young people, this is your responsibility. You do it the way you want to keep the memory and to remember and to educate your peers. So basically that's where it comes, where a lot of students in the universities in Israel, where they can't go to the big ceremony, memorial ceremony in Israel, but they can host a survivor and who can tell his story.
Right. By the way, it's a great idea that started in Israel. There is another idea that started in Israel, and I was part of it. And you can talk and tell more about it. And that is witness theater. Are you familiar with witness theater?
No, I'm sorry, I'm not.
Okay. So witness theater, I think in 2002, if I'm not mistaken, started in Israel. And basically what they do is students, high school students, meet with a number of survivors, 6, 8, for 8 months, once a week. The survivors will tell the story. They have an artistic director with them. And in the Yom HaShoah, they are performing the stories of those survivors. So I think 3 years ago, I was part of it, okay? And the students performed in front of 5,000 people. So it's another idea that was born in Israel, and it's a wonderful idea. It's called witness theater.
Wonderful. Those are the initiatives that are coming out, among people to bring in the young people and say, you know what, take responsibility. It's in your hand, and see how you can keep this memory. I think that this is very important.
I have Judy Kaddish. I can unmute you.
Can you unmute her?
Yes, I just did.
Okay.
Judy?
Hi, Sami is a wonderful friend of mine. And I just want to say that it was wonderful to hear him tonight. And also, on behalf of him and many of the other people who are Holocaust survivors around the world, I think it's so important. Let's reach out to them. Let's call them. Let's talk to them. Let's include them in our lives. Sami is an amazing person, and we have so much to learn from them. And it's such an important thing to know that not all of them are surrounded by family and friends. And it is so important to include them in our lives and in our days on a daily basis. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Judy. By the way, all the people that live in Boca Raton in Florida, you have a real superstar. I am nothing compared to him. How many of you have heard of Saul Dreyer? Saul Dreyer, okay, he, okay, is a survivor of Auschwitz. At age 89, he started the Holocaust Survivors Band. And he traveled to Russia, Poland, and many, Germany, in different countries. As a matter of fact, at age 95, okay, last year, okay, he became a DJ. He is also a wonderful person. He lives in Boca Raton, and you should invite him. And by the way, what I like about the Zikaron BaSalon, it is small but intimate. So you can really, the interaction and everything else, I think it's fabulous. And it's a wonderful, wonderful idea. But I would definitely suggest, it's okay, to invite Saul. He is amazing. And he will actually, what he will do, which I cannot do, he will play the drums for you. He is fantastic. He's unbelievable. Now that is a real celebrity, a real star. Okay.
I think you play the drums for us in many ways. You motivated us, and you are such an inspiration. I'm so honored to see you and hopefully to meet you face to face. I just want to thank you so much for sharing your story and motivated us. Each of us need to learn from it and to move it forward. Thank you so much. I would like to thank you all for participating. We appreciate that, for taking the time and being with us.
Can I ask you for a question?
But I just want to say one thing.
Yes.
Okay. What is really important, even if you think, like I thought that I don't have a voice because I have no memories of that time, my parents did not talk. All of us have a voice. Find it, what it is, and go with your gut, go with your instinct. Don't, okay? One thing that I like to say, I believe that we have a rabbi in, here, but in Passover, we talk about Exodus from Egypt, which is the physical, it's a land. However, what a lot of people don't know, that Mitzrayim, the root is Meitzar, which is constraint. So it's not only a liberation physical from a land, but we also have to liberate ourselves from the constraints that we are putting upon ourselves. We ourselves are putting certain constraints in our lives. And let's think about it, what we want to do, how to do it, and let's be free to do, okay, to be happy people, to make a difference in this world. Yes, there was a question.
Yes, I have a question. My name is Janice Knoppers, and
Yes.
Sissy too. And I would love, because my passion is, I live in Europe too, to follow the Holocaust and know all about it. But my other passion is, there's a site now, the primaries are coming up, and there's a lot of people who are for the BDS. The pro-Israel candidates are the site proisraelamerica.org. And I feel that the Jews and other people could do something positive by checking that site, because then we have a say in our government, and the primaries are coming up, and then we could support the pro-Israel candidates instead of the ones who want to demonetize Israel. So that's my passion, and I'm wondering how I can help promote so people know our past and can make an effect in America by doing that. proisraelamerica.org.
Very good. Now, I want to tell something about myself.
Yes.
The reason, okay, what I want people to really understand is, here it is, I am, okay, living under the poverty line. I have no connections. I live in Harlem, and across the boulevard there is a school, and I did not go to the school. I'm not very good in promoting myself. And yet, you know, all of you, how difficult it is to form a tax-deductible foundation. No money, no connections, and I have a tax-deductible foundation, okay, to honor upstanding students and to provide scholarships. That's what I'm saying. Teach the young people to believe in themselves and never to give up on their dreams. Everything, if they believe in themselves, everything is within their reach. But they have to believe in themselves. Drugs will not help them, okay? Whopping is not going to help them. They have to believe in themselves that they are important. And one other thing which is important to me, we are kind to other people. We respect some people. We are also, for instance, forgiving other people. But we are forgetting one thing, to do the same thing to ourselves. So remember that each one of you is the most important person in your life. So before you are kind to somebody else, learn to be kind to yourself, respect yourself, be kind to yourself, okay? And forgive yourself. If you made a mistake, so what? 20 years later, nobody will remember. Who cares? Learn to forgive. If we forgive so many other people, why not forgive ourselves? And that was actually my problem, okay? I've been kind to many people. I've not been kind to me, okay? I've always, you know, if I made a mistake, oh, wow, why? So what? Today doesn't make a difference. I don't even remember what the mistake was. Yes.
I think I will conclude with your wonderful last sentence. Thank you very much, all. And
somebody want to ask a question?
Is there someone who wants to ask a question?
Well, I wanted to make a comment. I don't know if you can hear my voice or not. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
I guess not.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me now? I pushed unmute or mute.
Yeah, we can hear you. Martin.
Okay, what I wanted to say is I've heard Sami speak a few times before. He's a wonderful motivational speaker. And what amazes me is how he comes through with such luminosity on this medium, Zoom, which I'm new to. It's a very strange medium, but it doesn't keep Sami back. Sami still comes through. And all I can say is Toda Rabba, Haya Naim Mod.
Okay, Toda Rabba.
I want to echo that. Thank you so much, Sami, for participating and being such an amazing speaker and always inspiring so many people and always being so positive and just bringing so much light. Thank you so much, Sami. We can't wait to see you again.
Thank you.
You bring so much light. You're like these candles we lit. You bring so much light into this world.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. And one of the things that I want to say, especially, I don't know who it was. It was Janice. There was a woman that asked about her children. And I want, you were, Amy. Yes. So Amy, one of the things that I want to tell you to teach the children. Okay? One thing which is very important.
They're listening.
Okay. One thing that is very important. And remember one thing. Teach them to become an optimist. An optimist sees in every problem an opportunity. A pessimist, a negative person, will see in every opportunity a problem. So teach them to become optimists, to believe in themselves, and to see an opportunity in everything that they do. Thank you. And it was my honor, and all I can say is thank you, and thank you for my friends, the old ones from New York, and the new ones that I just made today. And Carol, do you want to tell them about the foundation, or you told them already?
Oh, yes, I mean, so Sami has a foundation. It's tax deductible, and he doesn't take a penny of it. It's just to support Holocaust survivors. Or Sami, do you want to talk a little bit more about it?
Yeah, it's basically to honor upstanding students and to provide scholarships. Okay, so they wanted to, this is something new. Okay, so because of the coronavirus, we cannot do it this year. But when I met with 2 board members, they told me what they wanted to do. And they wanted to give $5,000 a scholarship to a student. And my request was that not only do they have to be scholastically, outstanding, but also to do something for the community. So the organization that they will volunteer for, okay, will also get the same amount. So it's something that I have a legacy, and if anybody wants to help, fine, if not. But I do not do it for money. Although I live under the poverty line, okay, I do not want any penny. I do it for free. It's my mission in life.
Sami, and thank you everyone for joining us. We'll send you Sami's contact if you guys want to continue, and we definitely also, you can send us to the Israeli Consulate and we will pass it forward definitely. But thank you very much. Have a good evening everyone, and keep remembering.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's never forget, and let's destroy, let's defeat the new virus that we have of hate, bigotry, and anti-Semitism. Let's be united against that fight.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'll keep the meeting open for whoever still wants to ask any more questions.
Yes. Now I'm going to sit down, so you may not see my whole face.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have. What's the name of the foundation? This is Nili Falik.
Right.
Nili Falik. What's the name of the foundation?
It is the name of the foundation. Wait a minute. It's oh yes, it's Tamid NYC.org/Sami, SAMI. You can put it up. I don't know if you can put it up.
Thank you so much, Sami. Amazing speech. Amazing.
Okay.
All the best.
I'm really very honored.
Thank you, Sami.
Thank you.
Many blessings.
Mashiach now.
Thank you, Rabbi, for joining. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And I'll send out the name of the foundation if you're interested, as well as his website, which is very interesting. And I did get a question via email, Sami, if you also speak to Christian students, so I'm assuming you speak to all students. Is that correct?
Yes. As a matter of fact, what happened is, I don't know if you know it or not, but there is an organization called KUFI, Evangelist Christians United Against Israel. For Israel, KUFI.
KUFI, yeah.
Right, and what happened is, when I lived in Israel, the Jewish leaders did not want to associate with them. And I'm saying, what's the difference? We need help from anybody that is willing to help us. And right now, the Israeli government is willing to work with them. Okay, and as a matter of fact, they have a membership of 8 million people. And I'm trying to get in their speakers bureau. Okay, I just spoke in a couple of places. And that would be because I'm interested to speak not only to the choir, okay, which is important, but it's also very important to speak to the non-Jewish students. And I also believe very firmly, very strongly in having a, interfaith dialogue. And I'm very, very much interested in that one. And I think that is very important. And I don't go into politics, but it's very important for us to have a discussion and to see different perspectives and learn from each other, as long as it's not a shouting match.
I have a question.
Yes.
I'm Janice Knoppers. And when you mentioned the virus of anti-Semitism, and people say, oh, what can you do? What can you do? I've searched and searched. And the only thing I really found that really makes sense is, and that's why I don't know how to further it, is to support the pro-israelamerica.org, because that has an effect on who will be elected to our government in America, who is pro-Israel and who is not. And since there are a lot of opponents who are for the BDS and for stopping aid to Israel, in the primaries they can be elected, I think that is so crucial. And I don't know how I want to help stop the virus of anti-Semitism. And I think this is one of the most direct ways. And it's an offshoot from AIPAC. And I just wondered how I could make it known to the choir, because we don't even have the choir in a lot of ways.
I don't know what to tell you, because in my particular case, I'm just blessed. When I was chasing something, it never came. And when I let it happen, things have happened. And I do believe that everything is meant to be. I am not practicing, my religion, but I still believe in God, and I believe that everything was meant to be. Because besides the Holocaust, there were 3 other times in my life that I was within a split of a second of not being here. So it means that, there is a reason for me being here and to keep delivering the message. So I don't know what to tell you how to do it, but you have a lot of other people that you can consult and learn from people that have other entrepreneurs. There are a lot of entrepreneurs that they came up with an idea and how they were able to promote it.
Yes.
But I am not the person to tell you, because I don't promote myself. And I don't know how to promote myself. I don't know. I don't feel comfortable with it. So, but I'm very fortunate that it's a word of mouth.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate your thinking about it for Pro-Israel America, because it's not for me, but it's to help the virus of anti-Semitism. So I appreciate your passion, and I appreciate your incredible wise advice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And for the young students, I don't know if we have students here or not, but for the young students, whatever profession you choose, don't choose it for money. Because I was an accountant, I didn't like it, and I got sick and I had to change careers. Choose something that you're passionate about. And once you're passionate about it, trust me, it's not work. Work is pleasure, it's joy, and joy becomes work. I believe that I am holding the unofficial world record, in speaking. I was in Chicago. So I spoke from 9 o'clock in the morning to 4 in the afternoon with half an hour lunch break. And in the evening, I had the main event. So I spoke to 7 groups. So when you're passionate about something, you don't feel it. It's a joy. It's not work. People ask me, where do you take the stamina? They don't understand the reaction that you get from the people is unreal. It motivates you to keep going. Anybody else? I think somebody raised the hand.
Did someone raise their hand?
No.
A lot of supporters, Sami.
Pardon me?
You have a lot of supporters.
Well, the more the better.
Yes.
If you can keep me busy every single day, boy, am I going to be grateful. As a matter of fact, tomorrow, Yom HaShoah, do you know how many presentations I'm having?
How many? Wow. Okay. With that, I know you have another presentation in half an hour, so I'll let you start prepping for that. And stay safe, Sami. Don't leave your house. Don't catch a virus. Kasa, if you want to say any last words.
I just want to say thank you very much, and thank you for doing it. It's a lot of work, to speak and to engage and to talk. Even though if it's in a Zoom, it's a lot of work. So we really appreciate that, and it's great to have a wonderful